Well, good afternoon and welcome back. This is our first edition of Facebook Live for the year of 2024. Well, so welcome back, Tony.
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah, we have
Welcome to
some
2024.
yeah, we have
24.
some special guests today, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We have Zach DeWalter from Starkey's in, I was going to say Honolulu, but it's not Honolulu, is it?
No, it's Honolulu.
It is Honolulu.
Yeah.
And we have Brittany from A&M Automotive in Lake Elsinore, California. They're both managers of very successful shops. And today's whole the talk today, or the subject today, is all about being a manager in a growing facility and taking the reins all over from the owner. Because both of your shops are very much in a transitional period. Uh, Brittany, you're on the path to ownership, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you and Adam have been working on that plan for quite some time now.
Yes.
Yeah. And Zach, I'm not sure if that's in the cards or if you're just going to continue managing this behemoth you call Starkey's.
Yeah, so it is in the cards. The time frame's still no determined ETA right now. We're still trying to figure that out at the moment, but it'll be, I would say, within the next 5 to 10 for sure.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations to both of you. You know, managing a facility is a tremendous amount of work, and it's a different viewpoint from ownership, the management of it. And there's certain attributes and characteristics that make up great management. And that's one of the things I wanted to let the two of you just to discuss. What are some of the great attributes and characteristics of good management?
Well, Brittany and I actually just had a meeting yesterday, and we run a drive managers meeting. And so we have a little offshoot of a top 20s group. And so we discuss, our successes and failures through the week. And we share, plan layouts and things that we can do to assist each other if we've been in similar situations or whatnot, or what have you. But we were talking yesterday, and like some of the things that make a really great manager are like just having people that care. And I know that seems like kind of generic or redundant in a customer service based business, but when it comes to caring about your customers, your employees, like showing up for them, even as a manager, working the front window, helping problem customers out, and then also with your employees, like when you manage people, you manage personalities, which is like kind of difficult for some people to do, and it takes a very specific breed to be able to do so. But you have to manage people based on their personalities instead of just as a whole. Like we can run a shop as a whole, but the personalities that come along with, there are like little bends and things that you have to flex on to make that person successful or help them become successful. And I think that's one thing that makes really strong managers. There's, Mike Button's got a great manager, John out there in Chico, California. Brittany's really great. Obviously, she's um, buying out a successful business. Like there are things that just set us apart from, your everyday worker.
Right.
Very good.
Do you concur, Brittany? What would you say about that?
I say babysitting. It's babysitting. There's a spectrum of personalities, like Zach has said, and you got to change that personality with the drop of a dime, and make sure everybody is on board with you, that they know the direction, the whole shop is going, and to maintain a positive attitude throughout that whole thing it takes a toll on us as managers, because my owner one day might be happy as hell, and the next day he's bored and wants to pick a fight. And it's like, okay, put him in his spot for now, and then I'll deal with the shop and then customers. And you got to make everybody happy, and you're that middleman to make sure that happens.
I can hear Adam chuckling. He's watching.
Oh, crap. Is he? He is out there.
He is.
Adam, turn it off.
You can ask John how many times I've sent him home when he comes with one of those attitudes. I'm like, hey, don't need it. Just go home. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, no, and I apologize, Adam. I'm a little on the cranky side this morning because of certain things I have to handle, and he wants to come in and ask a question. It's like, why are you worried about that right now? But Adam's a great owner. Taught me
Yeah.
a lot.
I've
You know,
known Adam a very
I
long
wouldn't-
time.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, and part of my success and my confidence and doing your job to get along with all these employees when half the time I'm like, I'll move your box right out the door with you, buddy.
Sure.
Now there was one thing I wanted to ask too, having to do with managing. For some owners who haven't fully made it to that stage 4, it's very hard for them to make a distinction between the duties of the manager and the duties of the owner, and they mush it all together into one big job they've been doing for possibly decades. And so if you could talk a little bit about the things that you guys do as managers that are distinct from what the owner's responsibility is and where you guys have your separate lanes, I would love to hear some of that.
Well, for me, a lot of it is John just kind of handed everything over at one point, right? Like he's got a few things that he still keeps close to his chest that he takes care of, but he just like dropped, a full not a playbook, but like full list of things on my desk that I take care of. So it's, I wear every hat in the shop. I wrench if we're super busy. I'm in the office. If we're down advisors, I work the front desk to cover breaks. I cover the safety inspector if he's out or, is taking lunch. I also do all the HR, the payroll. I do run the shop. I actually just hired a foreman to take some of these things off of my plate because when John set me up with this buffet of things to do, I managed it as best I could until I started to need to hire more people to take some of these things off my plate so that I can continue being efficient with my daily work. And so, yeah, it's tough. The lane that is distinctive there is John will come in and then tell me this is what he wants done, and then I'll implement it. And then he'll get a bunch of feedback from the employees, and then he'll refilter that through me. So what I'm trying to cut out now is I'm trying to cut him out all the way in a nice way so that when that negative feedback comes up, that it comes directly to me so that I have an opportunity to adjust it coming from the person's mouth instead of playing telephone with it and then getting part of the story, but not all of the story that I need to make a distinct correction.
Cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of the struggles that many owners have on achieving true stage 4 is letting go.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they don't have something else that they really want to do because the shop has been their entire world for decades. And unless they have a real burning desire to go off and do something else, well, their game is the shop. But now they've got you. And Brittany, how do you handle it when Adam wants to interfere?
Is this R-rated? Can I go with this?
It's a setup, Brittany.
That was a question from Adam. He was curious.
To deal with Adam is a whole nother spectrum of employees all in just one person. But what was the question? I'm sorry.
Well, when an owner is stepping back into the business and you find them interfering with what you're doing and your game plan during the day,
so
and you're walking that tight line. Well, he is the owner, but by golly, he's not helping. This is not helping.
Even if I own this business tomorrow, he still won't stay out. We already know that. We already know that.
He's retired and he comes in anyway.
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm still more of a service writer with a manager title. I don't so much do the graphs. He will not let that go. Plus, there's still a ton more training that I have to do, but my day-to-day everything is being a service writer. I don't do as much as Zach does with payroll, the shop foreman. Oh, I guess I could be a shop foreman. And then, make sure the employees are doing this, write up policies, do actual write-ups and stuff managers do. But, Zach over here does a hell of a lot more. And same way, Adam says, you're going to start doing this, 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 and this. And that list got so much that I'm just not fun to deal with. And so he hired a service writer, and then I was able to breathe. And then it felt like, wait a minute, they're taking away my job.
Oh,
Well, taking, stuff off my plate. And I'm a constant go, 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 go. And when I'd find myself just, what do I do now? Okay, I need to do this. And that took some transition to do. But yeah, same thing, like the workflow chart. I didn't know that was my job. And that was one of the things Adam's like, I don't know, create it. Here's an example, just do it. Okay. And I did it. And then he'd give me another, do this, and I would do it. And then it became, now I'm doing so many steps a day that you as a person really have to plan your day. Okay, take care of this because you're going to forget this and this and write stuff down. Okay, I'll take care of this and then take care of that. But I would say for, management and stuff, employees are probably the hardest people to deal with. But then you have Adam that comes in, and he's either a blessing or he's just, put that wrench in the wheel. We all love him, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we do.
I think Brittany and I have the same job title, and with our owners, it's like its own algorithm of how we have to proceed and move forward. And again, the owners have their own personalities. Like, I was saying Jim Saley's here. We're having our big shop walkthrough, and John's surfing. So, he'll be in at some point today, and he'll usually check in. But he does come in sometimes hot, like with that little attitude, and wants to ask, like Brittany was saying, that one question that really doesn't matter or pertain to the whole day. And
Right.
you have to brush them off. John used to do this thing that you guys know really well called backdooring customers. We're like,
Oh, yeah.
my friend calls me, I send him down there, doesn't let anybody know. His friend comes and makes a big scene when you're really busy about how he talked to John and they're best friends and he needs to be out in 20 minutes. And I just look at him like, you're not on my schedule. I haven't heard anything about it. I'm sorry, I can't take you till tomorrow. And then it's a blow up, and then John wants to call, and I'm like standard order of operations or procedures. Like, your friend calls you, you let the dispatcher know, they make him an appointment, they get him in, we tell you the time that he comes. Like, if he wants to bypass us for that appointment, it still works the same way. You're just a middleman instead of, him coming directly to us.
Right.
So that was a big change for him, because he's like, I own the place. I should be able to do what I want. And I tell him, you do, but I make this place efficient and, valuable. So like, it has to work this way. If you want to see numbers that look like this, you can't do this. And he doesn't like it sometimes. And that's the time that I'm like, go home. I'm too busy. Like,
That's right. Go surfing.
Go
Yeah.
surfing, exactly.
Go surfing.
he does.
Well, Adam can't go surfing unless you're going to go surfing on sand.
Scuba
Oh, no.
diving.
You can do
But
some,
scuba diving.
Yes.
what is it? Sailing. You're near Lake Elsinore, right?
Yeah, no, Adam does his fishing and the scuba diving. That's what
There
he
it is.
That's right. That's right. Well, you mentioned something earlier that is absolutely true. The magic of good management is caring, and truly caring, not just a buzzword.
Yes.
Caring for the customers, caring for the business, and caring for the team.
Mhm.
Because without the customers, there's no purpose for the business. And
Yeah.
without the business, there's no purpose for the team. So management has got to do that balancing act and care for all three. And sometimes that means tough love for the customer, like you just said with John's buddy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's tough love for the employees, but you got to do what's best for all three. And that's a skill. That's a practice skill, and it's definitely something that you grow into. Now, I know that you've been working on your succession plan, Brittany, and taking off pieces of those hats and getting those under your belt so that you can move up. And I thought it was kind of funny that you felt like your job was getting taken away from you when you hired a service advisor, because that's just the way an owner feels. Oh my God, what do I do now?
I'm not riding
Right?
service. What do I do?
I'm not running the shop. What do I do?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Keep a hobby and stay out of the shop.
Stay out of the shop. That's right.
Yeah.
Get a hobby.
Yeah.
You
And one
know?
of the things I was going to say about that, Brittany, was, you know, if you feel like you can have oversight, then you just go, yeah, I'm going to let this person run. I'm going to let this person write service. And then I am going to manage by observing and then correcting and making and then tweaking things. And that's where you move from production of actually producing things and actually working on in the business to actually administering or managing, right?
Right. Well, and Zach and I were talking yesterday that nobody's going to be us. And I'm sure Adam said, you know, there's no way in hell she's going to be like me and do stuff my way. And that's what me and Zach are talking about, you know, with me hiring on a new service writer. The way they're selling stuff is not the way I do it, you know, and certain words that they say is just, okay, now, you know, they need training. And, you know, our service writer is signed up by the end of this month for, you know, the service writer training to hopefully get some of the stuff out of it that I, for so many years, got out of drive classes. And then dealing with, you know, caring for these people, it's different kind of care. One's got family issues, one, you know, doesn't care about anything and has drug use problems or alcohol. And so it's the care factor to make sure that we're all gonna succeed as a whole shop, and being able to, you know, take these, get them all trained the way that you want them, so you can get rid of that part of the, you know, the attention of the shop and move on to something more important, whether it's customers or marketing or, you know, looking at numbers or stuff like that. So
And you brought up a very important point, and I want you both to expand on that, and that's ongoing training of your team
I mean,
and having a training plan.
but we did Brittany and I were talking yesterday about 5/5 because we have advisors that like to talk on the phone. And so like if you're selling over 5K worth of work, you get 5 minutes to talk on the phone. Like if it's under that, like we just need you to tell them what it is and what needs to be fixed. And that's like one of those training opportunities that we, you know, get to give them. And then I also sit down with my employees, you know, every 6 months, and then we talk about where they're comfortable, where they want to learn more, where they're lacking, and things that they want to stay away from. And then we take those and we rate them 1 to 5, and then that is broken down and given to the dispatcher. Because if I have heavy R&R guys that can crank out work, I'm not going to stick them with a 1 hour diag that's going to take them half a day. And
Right.
so you figure out how to manage your team that way. And so you get them the training that they want, that they need. You get them certified where they want. Brittany was talking about it with her service advisor. Like when you have people that you care about, like I was saying earlier before we got on, that like I told everybody I was unavailable for the 2 weeks I was on vacation, but I still answered the phone calls and texts that came through, because I like that I'm in this so that I can have a life that I can live stably. And I want that for every one of my guys. And if they need help somewhere, if they need to pick up hours, like those are the things that you open the door for them when they show you that they want to be here, that they want to, you know, that they care about what they're doing. And then you help them become successful in the areas that they want to be. And
Sure.
so with that training, you know, we've got a Napa apprenticeship program rolled out with the foreman. So he's taken some of my, you know, one of my loop techs and one of my C techs, and he's going to run them through that program to get them their ASCs and train them in places that they're not very well versed. So
Cool. That's a good plan.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Do you guys
Because, you
have
know, your
Sorry, do you-
greatest asset as a manager is your team.
it is.
Yeah.
It's my
And-
toolbox.
That's
Yep.
right.
And do you have those like your training plans in writing? Do you guys write them up and put together what the future is going to hold for each employee? Have you gone that far?
So Napa actually writes the apprenticeship program. When I sit down with my techs, I figure out what they see for themselves in the next 6 months up to the next 5 years and what they want to be doing. And if they want to be here and they tell me that they're willing to go on this roller coaster ride, because it's never just straight across, it's always up and down. That's the way that our market works. And so they just ride that wave for me. Like I invest in my employees as much as I invest in my equipment in my shop. They are obviously much more than equipment, but when it comes to utilizing like your employee, like making them successful gives them a sense of stability. It gives them like more fuel for their passion, which then drives them to become more efficient, to be happier at work. That brings the morale up. Like there was a time when nobody would talk in my shop because everybody had side fights going on. And now for the last year, I've been able to walk in, everybody's high-fiving, hugging, laughing, having coffee, sitting down as, before work starts. Like it's a really beautiful thing to be able to walk in and feel like if I'm spending 9 hours here, at least I get to be happy for most of it, even
Sure.
though I run into those speed bumps along the day. Like we still, everybody says goodbye, see you tomorrow. Like I love that environment that's been established here. Well, we built it. So we built it and now it's established.
That's right. Yeah, don't forget the key point there is that you did that.
Yeah.
So developing that culture of cooperation, harmony, and caring for each other is, well, that's just crucial. It's got to be that way. Otherwise, everybody gets burnt out and upset, and then you're constantly recruiting.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's
Right.
like small things like one person had to move out of their house and they were given like a short notice and 3 employees go and help. Or one person's got family coming in town and another one's selling a car that they don't use, so they loaned it to him while they were in town. It's like that's the kind of stuff that goes above and beyond like just a coworker or just an employee. At that point, we're a big family.
It's great.
Right.
So Brittany, do you have written training plans for your staff?
No, we usually, if we're gonna do training, we usually all go together. We have a couple part stores in the area that will do it every couple of months. So we usually all go together as a group, all of us. And then Adam's got that group training set up, so the guys get emailed classes and they pick and choose to do the classes that they want to do whenever they want to do it. But I'm still kind of have the younger generation here where if I ain't getting paid for it and to do it at work, then I don't want to do it. But the more we introduce them or give them that option, and here's a whole platter of classes, that shows interest, that we obviously want to invest in you and you can do better. And then they start, wanting to do better by themselves. It's just a matter of them finding the time of day to be able to do these classes.
Sure. And
Yeah,
you
it's
certainly
kinda-
can't
kinda like-
mandate that. You can't mandate they do training unless you pay them. And so
Right.
I understand that. But yeah, sorry, Bob, you were going to say?
No, it sounds like you're kickstarting their motivation.
Mhm.
Right. Well, and we always, hey, what class did you take? Let's have a discussion about it. What did you learn from yours? And what did you learn from yours? What did you, think you were doing wrong and come to find out you were doing it right? Or, stuff of that sort that we all get to talk about. Even some of
Sure.
that stuff that goes over my head or, and the apprentice's head. But at least we're all still hearing it. We're all still on board and you're excited to learn about something new that you didn't know. That's what I enjoy from having these guys do their training.
That's
Well,
great.
another big part of management, and this, is to keep things fresh.
Yeah.
And to keep them interested and keeping their eye on the mountain, some yearly goal or some quarterly goal or whatever, or some game to play where it keeps it all fresh. So it doesn't feel like a grind.
Oh,
And I think
Right.
you're both doing a fabulous job at that. Now I'm going to take a station break here and promote our next week's Facebook Live, Tony. Who
very
do we have
nice.
on next week?
We have let me I apologize. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce his name. Josue,
I think it's Josue. Yes.
great guy. And from All Makes and Models Auto Repair in Tucson, Arizona.
Speaking of Arizona,
Yep.
Tucson, where they have
That-
straight streets and you can turn right and left.
and a mild hint behind my head and Tony's head is we've got our expo coming up. And I think
Yes.
the registration link is in Facebook Live. And if you're not registered, by all means, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I found very interesting is that you took the initiative, you guys, to develop a managers group,
Yes.
which is kind of a spin-off of our 20 group concept.
Hmm.
And I think that's commendable.
Yeah.
It
So
And how
shows,
many are in there?
it was
how many?
so originally it was brought up at the last expo, so we've been doing it for about a year now. And it was managers and some fresh owners. And since then we've rounded it out to just more of a managers group. And right now there is, let's see, Mark, Brittany, John, Dustin, myself, Pete. There's 8 of us.
wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
So for you managers out there who are whose owners are on the Drive program, reach out to Zach.
Yeah, reach out to me. I'm not going to give my email address over this, but I can give it to you if you want later.
Yes.
There you go. Or you can just call Drive.
Yeah, there
Sure,
we go.
just call us and we'll hook you up with them and get you on that road. Now, you both we just have a couple of minutes, but I did want to touch on, you both came from almost like you've have experience with corporate auto repair. You both worked, I believe, at Sears at one point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I worked at. I've kind of done a little bit. While I was a firefighter, I did Sears. I worked at an AutoZone for a little bit, but I opened up my own business in 2004 and did it to 2014. Before I moved out here, I sold my business and moved to Hawaii, and then hooked up with John just a couple years later. I was working in some heavy equipment for a local like retaining wall building construction company.
There
Right.
you go.
Was there anything you learned, Brittany, with Sears about what not to do or what to do?
I do
So-
not want anything to do with corporate. I don't need somebody telling me how many coolant exchanges I need to sell on cars that don't need it. That's probably the worst part of it all. And selling shit to people, stuff to people that
That's okay.
that they don't need. And that's exact model of what they are is what I don't want to be. So
That's
but
great.
Yeah.
you learn automotive stuff and I guess pushing credit cards and pushing stuff that people don't need. That's what I learned.
Yeah,
That's what
learn not what to do or
Right,
what not to
exactly.
do.
What not to do, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or what not to do to your employees,
And
right?
what not to, well, and then there's that.
Right. Well, yeah, those are kind of like treadmills,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just grinding it out.
Yep.
Well, if you bought a treadmill from Sears, you can't get it worked on anymore.
No, no. Sears is something of the past.
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry to. It was such a wonderful thing when I was young and all through the 90s, and then it
I
just started falling apart.
Bob Vila, man.
Yes.
Well, the funny thing is, they started out as a catalog
That's
company.
right.
Then they
Yeah.
became a store, and
They were
could
the
have
Amazon.
right. They could have very easily moved back into a virtual catalog company, and they just I don't know. It just seemed like
They
they
missed-
were set up for it, but they didn't
They
take
Missed
it.
were
the boat.
bought out by Kmart, and I think Kmart kind of tanked it. Like I remember because I worked at like a Sears during some of that, and it was like pretty gnarly what was happening in the transition. It was like one was way in the red, one was like just above the black, and they tried to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh well.
Okay.
Hey, I want to thank both of you for being with us today.
Yeah.
And once again, very well done on what you're doing and the challenges that you are taking on. It's admirable, and I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you.
And yeah, and here's to a great 2024.
Happy
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. See
Bye,
you
guys.
later.